There are some whores in this house.
I'm not happy.
I don't need Elizabeth Warren or the government giving away my money.
Calling Mike Bloomberg an oligarch has implications in this country that I think are unfair and unreasonable.
I care. That's it.
Makes you think of some rich person who got their money off of oil in Russia, who's taking advantage of a broken and dysfunctional system.
Bernie Sanders saying, the country's corrupt, our system's corrupt. Be careful about that language, Bernie. You know, be careful.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Wet ass P word.
On the nation, Waldorf Nation. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I am Jeff Waldorf. Welcome to this fantastic show that we have planned today. We're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, I have not talked about her very much on the show. And, well, let's just say that this segment shows how monstrous she is. She rejected cookies. There's a reason. There's a reason, of course. But we'll get to that. Monstrous. We also have Eric Trump jumping the vaccine lines, getting his vaccination before other people had an opportunity to be able to do so. We've got Mitch McConnell making threats about the filibuster. We have Bernie Sanders coming forward with a new tax proposal. And we are going to talk about the massage parlor shooting as well. So, including a police officer who said, yeah, you know what? The guy was having a bad day. Yeah. So, that's what we've got on the docket today. Everybody, please hit the like and share button. Very important. Smash the share button. Just smash the hell out of it. We need it more than ever. Again, helpful. It's very, very helpful when you do so. So please like and share that. This stream, these videos, all that wonderful stuff. And let's get to the stories. Let's do it. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is not a smart person, and I'm not saying that she couldn't be a smart person, but she chooses to be deeply, deeply ignorant despite holding a position of power. And what I'm talking about, of course, is believing in QAnon conspiracy theories, talking about Jewish laser beams from space causing wildfires, to also being deeply anti-trans. She's got some pretty important beliefs, and a lot of it is based on just willful ignorance. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that she says is just based on nothing but, again, believing in conspiracy theories that require. Basically, it's almost as if the person that writes those chain emails, remember those when those were a thing, and just terrible right wing memes gets elected to office. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I don't know if she as much writes them, but just shares them everywhere. So that's who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. And so she's in power and is not a good person, but every once in a while, she'll just show how deeply ignorant she is and how dumb and petty she is. And this is one of those examples. In fact, she recently complained about the Guam National Guard ambushing her in her office. Oh, that's interesting. Now, Greene's remarks were part of a letter filled with complaints. I didn't know it was festive season already. I mean, you know, I got a lot of problems, and now you people are going to hear about it in a very strongly worded letter. It's amazing. This is the most Karen energy I've ever seen from a sitting U.S. congressperson. But okay, anyway. So now, one of the complaints actually has to do with Tucker Carlson and the Pentagon itself. Okay. And also how apparently Joe Biden is engaged in a, quote, mass military occupation of the Capitol. Forgetting, of course, the whole reason why the National Guard is at the Capitol, it's to prevent her QAnon friends from trying to take over again. Here we go. But again, she takes shots at the military, which is interesting, because she went after a Pentagon spokesperson for going after Tucker Carlson for saying, well, this.
So we've got new hairstyles and maternity flight suits. Pregnant women are going to fight our wars. It's a mockery of the U.S. military. While China's military becomes more masculine as it's assembled the world's largest navy, our military needs to become, as Joe Biden says, more feminine, whatever feminine means anymore, since men and women no longer exist. The bottom line is it's out of control, and the Pentagon's going along with this. Again, this is a mockery of the U.S. military and its core mission, which is winning wars.
Wait. How do ships get more? How does a navy get more masculine by adding more ships? Do ships have a gender? I just realized that in watching this video again. It's just like, wait a minute, hold on here. China's getting more masculine because it has a bigger navy. What? I don't know. Maybe he's thinking of the semen inside of the long cylindrical tubes, you know, with the submarines. I don't know. I don't know. It makes no sense. And here's the thing about this. None of what, you know, Tucker Carlson actually, like, none of his commentary, his points actually make any sort of sense. Again, I'm no fan of the Pentagon, but here's the thing. He's like, oh, pregnant women are going to fight our wars. No, they're not. Pregnant women aren't being put on the front lines. Besides, there's more jobs in the military than just being a frontline soldier. You know, there's people that actually sit in they do office jobs. They do, intelligence. They do reconnaissance. They fly drones. A lot of those, at least that's pretty problematic. But seriously, that there's more to the military than holding a gun and shooting at people. All right, which I wouldn't want a pregnant woman to do that. Well, obviously not. But Tucker Carlson, if he knew anything about the military, he would already know that. But again, what do you expect from an incredibly rich, pampered Swanson heir? Honestly. All right. So, or an insane conspiracy theorist in the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene. So now, getting back to her, all right, she says, oh, they ambushed me. The Guam National Guard ambushed me. Well, it turns out that service members in Guam were actually responding to statements made by Marjorie Taylor Greene last week. So let me give you that. Here's what she said on a live stream. I'm sorry, not on a live stream, at a conference. Quote, I'm a regular person. No, you're not. And I wanted to take my regular person, normal, everyday American values, which is we love our country. We believe our hard-earned tax dollars should just go for America, not for what China, Russia, Middle East, Guam, or whatever, wherever, right? If we want to build roads, if we want to put money into schools, if we want to build border walls, we want it right here at home. Okay, look, I get the sentiment. US as progressives, yeah, we agree that we want more of our tax money to go to things that help us domestically. We want better things. We want, you know, Medicare for all. But the problem here is with conservatives who say this is really an attack on foreign aid for example. So now the problem isn't foreign aid. That actually comprises about less than 1% of the annual budget domestically in the United States. So, when it comes to the federal budget, most of our budget actually goes into the military, not into foreign aid. So it gets spent domestically. And so, again, the actual issue is we spend billions and billions of dollars on the Pentagon, which goes ultimately to defense contractors. That actually doesn't go to the troops. I mean, you go to the lowest paid E1, they're barely making minimum wage. So the issue is, again, the difference between the right and left, the so-called populist right, populist left, is that the so-called populist right is all about spending ungodly amounts of money on the military. And that's really it. I mean, Trump himself, right, while promising to, get us out of the wars, also promised that he was the most militaristic president ever, and increased the military budget of the United States by billions of dollars. A promise to rebuild our military. Now, wait, if you don't plan on getting into wars, why do you need to, like, quote unquote, rebuild our military? It's so, like, he can feel good. He can get get some sort of weird boner out of watching tanks roll down the street. I mean, it's super weird, right? Kind of weird. But we spend on average annually about $690 billion in the Department of Defense. As far as our total budget, defense spending counts for about 15% of all federal spending and roughly half of all discretionary spending. So foreign aid, it's not really a problem. Foreign intervention, oh, now that's a problem. It's basically American imperialism. That is the problem. That's where the money is going. And both Republicans and Democrats, by the way, fall all over themselves to shovel more money into, the military-industrial complex at the expense of the troops, at the expense of the American people. That money goes into buying weapons, defense contractors, weapons programs, jets that don't work, don't fly, anything like that, and that kind of stuff. And yet, Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene they're literally not letting you know. They're lying to you, basically, about the reality on the ground. Okay? And they're just telling you, well, Biden bad, women bad, foreign aid bad. And that's essentially what it is. You could have all this stuff. You could have good things in this country if it weren't for those dirty foreigners and the libs that love them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's their message. All right. But here's where it gets better. So she said we shouldn't be giving money to the country of Guam. Well, there's a good response to that. A big omission. Okay. Guam's not a country. Guam is a U.S. territory. It's part of the United States. In fact, more than 120 years, since 1899, Guam has been an official part of the U.S. Of the United States of America. So, I'm just saying, like, sending money to Guam is sending money to America because it's America. God, they're so stupid. Like, they're so, and it's not, it's willful. It's willful out there. There's just like 5 seconds it takes to do a Google search. Like, is Guam part of the United States? Yes, it is. But they treat it like Puerto Rico, which is also part of the United States. Painfully stupid. Now, in response to this, the delegate Michael San Nicolas, Guam's representative in the U.S. House, he decided to basically walk like a couple of, go down like a flight of stairs or whatever, take that long trip from his office to Marjorie Taylor Greene's office. And so now he did that not to menace her, but to try to educate her and to bring cookies. Take a look.
Where is y'all's office?
We are actually in the same building, sixth floor.
Sixth floor.
Yeah,
Okay.
1632.
Love it. I'm sorry, your name again?
Taylor.
Taylor, you want to come on and say hi? Just to,
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So guys, Congresswoman Greene will be probably coming back in 20 minutes. We'll probably circle back. This is Taylor, her legislative director. She just wants to come on and say hi.
Hi guys. Hey, thank you guys so much for all that you do. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys for keeping us safe. The Congresswoman should be back hopefully in the next 30 minutes or so, and I know that she would love to meet all of you and say hi and just tell you how much she appreciates the hard work that you guys do.
All right, so look, the music is cringe. I don't know why they did that. But that's the point is like, oh, so they, you know, service members, American service members, you can see on one of their, you know, uniforms, U.S. Army on it. They were there, and they're like, "Hey, we want to talk to Marjorie Taylor, to Congressman Greene. We brought cookies and we brought some information about Guam, and all right, you know, hey, it's very well intentioned. It seemed like a good idea. Spread a little knowledge, bring a few cookies. It's just a good, heartfelt kind of like, hey, you know, we're American, just like you. I mean, yeah, we're not white, so we're not quite like you, and you know, I guess that might be a problem. But we're Americans, and here is a peace offering. Well, apparently that did not go over well. All right, so now Greene accused Democrats, the Democratic Party, just Democrats overall, of quote disrespecting our military and, quote, using them as political theater and drama on Capitol Hill. I can't. That's such a bad person. Such a bad person. How can you take that and how can you reject cookies? How can you reject cookies? I mean, seriously, that's like the most like, and by the way, I forgot the aide's name already, but they seem like a pretty nice guy. Oh yeah, oh, thank you for what you do. Oh, I bet she'd love this. And then she comes off with just raging Karen energy and was like, I can't believe the Democrats were trying to send me cookies. What were they, macadamia? I know some of you might actually like that, but I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, Delegate Sam Nicholas, all he said in response was, "Hey, we were just giving the guardsmen a tour and spreading some goodwill." And by the way, that's not the only office they stopped by. They stopped by other offices, gave out cookies and information and all that stuff. So, I mean, this is a great example of how Marjorie Taylor Greene is not only a deeply ignorant person, but she's just a terrible human being overall. I mean, come on. Maybe she realized she was embarrassed about how wrong she was, and instead of admitting her mistake, she attacked. And in reality, she disrespected Americans. She disrespected American troops, the military, all to be extremely partisan and petty. And not only was she factually wrong about everything, just about everything here, but also, again, decided to remain ignorant and attack people for what was a good, gesture here. She is not a good faith actor, okay? But understand that this is what you can expect and should expect out of the Trump wing of the party. Again, Donald Trump might, is not president anymore, okay? But the people that he has spurred on to run and that have actually won their elections, they're in power. They're still in power, okay? And they hold authority. I mean, this is what you can expect out of them, out of Republicans. Instead of owning up to mistakes. Nope, just divisiveness, just attack. And by the way, she does want the National Guard out of D.C. Now, actually, look, I think that would be great. But the reason that, again, that they're there in the first place, that we've had National Guard troops have to spend time in Washington is, again, because her and her QAnon buddies threatened violence because they decided not to accept the results of the election of Joe Biden. So in the case of Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is a terrible person and representative of the Trump type of thought. And there was Trumpism, and then there was the same thing that was before Trumpism, and that's all this is. The name changes, but the kind of just irrational hatred and conspiracy thinking continues. Yeah. All right. I think I've spent enough time on that. I wasn't actually attacking macadamia cookies. Maybe she was. Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually worse than your average Republican. I don't believe so. I actually think that she does represent the average Republican much more so than the other ghouls on Capitol Hill. She's just more honest about what she believes. It's more open with it. All right. Maybe she'd like the muffins instead. Maybe. Okay. So recently, Eric Trump got busted getting the coronavirus vaccine through a personal friend and connection ahead of other people. So now, I don't like line jumpers. I'm not in favor of line jumpers, especially when it comes to something like a vaccine. That's really important. And so how we found out about this is a pretty interesting story. It actually comes from leaked text from a top executive at a Chicago hospital. So this guy boasted to his friends about vaccinating Eric Trump on the same day the facility he oversees inoculated workers at Trump Tower downtown. This is where Loretto Hospital Chief Operating Officer Dr. Anash Ahmed owns a condo. So runs a hospital and owns a condo in one of the Trump Towers. And then somehow Eric Trump gets a vaccine. Oh, look at that. Here's what he said. Vaccinated Eric Trump, Ahmed wrote in a text message accompanying a photo of himself and the ex-president's son, which the website obtained from a source. So there's that. Nope, that's not it. There it is. But look at that. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, Ahmed shared the photo with acquaintances on March 10th, the same day Loretto Hospital held a vaccination event at Trump Tower. Metadata from the photo confirms it was taken that afternoon at or near the residential building. Now, people, of course, look, I'm in favor of people getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, I love it. I'm all about it. But see, here's the thing. People like me, people like Eric, and other seemingly healthy people, we unfortunately have to patiently wait our turn. So those who need this vaccine the most are able to get it. I know it sucks. Like you want to go out and you want to have your dinner party on your yacht, and you want to do all that stuff. But you don't want to have to worry about the pesky COVIDs. Well, sorry, but like the rest of us, you're gonna have to wait. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Not the case at all. But here's the thing. We're at least risk, and that's why we shouldn't be able to get this vaccine before anyone else. And so the event here was intended for Black and other minority workers at the city's hotel and hospital officials, people who are, of course, on the front line, essential workers. Now, the hospital later said that they made a mistake to offer doses meant for West Side residents to hotel employees before they are eligible in the upcoming 1C tier. So now Chicago at that point was in the 1B tier, which only expanded eligibility to residents 65 years or older and dozens of categories of essential frontline workers. And so there was no basis for Eric Trump to be eligible for that vaccine under the rules. And so, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. In fact, Trump, and here's the thing, Eric Trump's my age. Can you believe it? Eric and I are the same age. Now, Eric Trump doesn't apparently have any sort of health issues, other than, of course, being a Trump. And neither is he a resident of Illinois, nor is he in any shape or form considered essential. He just shouldn't be. Essential for what? So under normal circumstances, like myself, he would have to wait for the vaccine to become more available to the general public. But no, he's Trump. He's going to get special treatment, as always, because he knew the owner of the hospital, of course. Loretto Hospital, a 122-bed facility that serves the West Side, has held other off-site vaccination events in its own neighborhood. But the event at the same time, in the same building where Ahmed lives, is the only one of its kind sponsored itself by the hospital. So, of course, that brings in the conspiracy theory of what if this guy organized this event just to get Eric Trump a vaccine? Of course. Ahmed has also bragged to friends that he is friends with Eric. Now, because of course, right? So the thing that's frustrating about this, other than the simple fact that rich people get to cut in line all the time, and they've been getting vaccines first, and we have evidence of more than just, people like Eric Trump getting the vaccine first, when they shouldn't be getting them over others who are at higher risk. People who are older, people with pre-existing conditions, frontline workers, the so-called essential workers who apparently were like, oh, you're heroes and we don't give a damn about you. I mean, for a very short time, society pretended to care about the people bagging your groceries. Oh, we're going to give you a slight bump in your pay, and then sad day for you. We're just going to forget about you after that. But we're doing our part. No, you're not. Look, essential workers need to be treated a lot better than they are. If they're so essential, why don't we pay them more? Why don't we pay them a living wage? Why don't we make sure that they're vaccinated before they have to work? Why don't we make sure that the people who do the things that are necessary for society to function are protected by society? Oh no, but you know what? That's stupid, because it makes too much sense, and we don't do that here. But anyway, again, I was going to the thing that frustrated me more about this. Is that the family that is getting this, the Trumps, are the same people that downplayed the virus itself. Okay. And while they were publicly doing that, they used their ability to get vaccines before anybody else. And that's I don't know, that doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't. It's sickening to see this happen. Another example of this is Melania and Donald Trump themselves. They quietly received the COVID-19 vaccine at the White House back in January. They got it. And not only that, but when he got coronavirus, after giving it to a bunch of other people, he actually received an experimental cocktail that no one else had access to. So nobody else really had access to the vaccine or the treatment that he received. So his family, again, played down the risks of COVID-19, encouraged people to get out, didn't encourage mask wearing, even after getting coronavirus. And yet, they hopped the line to go and get vaccines and treatments that no one else was able to get. Because of course they did. And on top of that, instead of, I would have been okay with Donald Trump getting the vaccine in January if he had done this publicly and said, look, it's safe. It's safe. Look at this, safest vaccine ever. I did this. Look at the vaccine. It's so great. You should all get one. We should all get one. All right. Well, there you go. That would have been okay because, because then he's telling his followers at least to go get the vaccine, which I think is important, right? But no, they didn't do that. Donald Trump hushed it up because of that. I mean, again, he's thinking public health. No, who cares about public health? I don't really give a damn. No, what I care more about is my tough guy image. That's all that matters to me. So I'm not going to tell people that I got a vaccine because my followers were, there's a lot of Trump followers that refuse to get the vaccine. It's frustrating. And he's saying, look, I don't give a damn about you. Nope. Don't give a damn about you. Not gonna encourage you to do the right thing. In fact, we're gonna do the wrong thing. We're still gonna do the right thing and do it in the worst possible way. We're gonna jump the line. We're gonna hush it up. We're gonna make sure that you don't know that we got the vaccine, and we're gonna get it ahead of everybody else because we think we're that much more important than you. They are all about themselves. And Eric and Donald Jr., by the way, the rotten apples do not fall far from the twisted tree of that family. Their twisted family tree. They are all about themselves and using whatever means they can get to get ahead of everyone else, which is, again, 100% on brand for the Trumps. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got more stories here. We got Mitch McConnell. Hey there. We got Mitch McConnell and the corporations. Good stuff. So stay right here. Please like and share the stream, and we'll be back in a minute. Around the Nation.
I like my meat tight.
Wet ass P word.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome back, I should say. Around the Nation, right here, Waldorf Nation. So, sorry, I was having a few streaming issues, but it's all good. Hopefully, my ISP is trash, so there's nothing really I can do about it. dealing with this regional monopolies and things like that. So again, that's really all we can do. So I did lose some of your super chats, but let me read the ones that I have. Let's see. Can't see who said that. Marjorie Taylor Greene is lucky that the medulla oblongata controls involuntary respiration. How can someone so dumb be elected to Congress? The medulla oblongata. I'm sorry. Now I'm thinking of the water boy. Thanks a lot for that. No, I actually do. Thank you very much, though. I do appreciate the super chat. Dango Bango says oatmeal raisin are the only bad. I feel like I'm gonna start cookie wars. Mr. Sushi 22 asks, "Hey, Jeff got my stimulus today. Congratulations. That's awesome. What's my take on the racist video from Stephen Clam Chowder? You think his daddy?" So I was actually going to originally do that story, but that is like that video is like that's beyond the pale. I mean, Steven Crowder said some pretty racist stuff, no doubt. This is real bad. Real bad. So yeah, most racist video yet. Let me talk about black farmers, by the way. I seem to remember, this reminds me of a story that did a while ago during the Trump administration, where there were like lesbian farmers or lesbians that wanted to go and do farming for some reason. I was like, great, yes. Let's have more lesbian farmers. Let's do it. Take over those areas. And here's the thing about that, right? Why wouldn't there be black farmers? That's what makes it racist, by the way. Is that they're all they want to do is stay in the inner city. No, they're black. There are black farmers. There are, I mean, I don't see. Steven Crowder bothers me because what he considers to be humorous, what he calls jokes, is all about punching down. And so he's punching down at black people, saying, they don't want to be farmers. He and his stupid co-hosts. Black people, they don't want to be farmers or anything like that. No, black people can be farmers. Black people can, should be able to do whatever they want, free from, got career rise, free from harassment and racism. And so it's just, I can't stand that guy. I really can't. What a terrible person. No respect at all. Says it's not much, but I hope it helps. Greetings from Europe. Well, greetings. Thank you. Every little bit helps. I do appreciate that. All right. All right. Let's move on. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read one comment from Facebook here. This is, my husband's a flight attendant, is right now working a flight to Korea. Will be locked in his room for 40 hours. Fly to Shanghai and be confined in the aircraft for several hours, then back to work in Seoul. Confined for 20 hours, then fly back to the U.S., yet he's not essential enough to receive the vaccine yet. And yet Donald Trump, and that's the problem, Donald Trump's son and Donald Trump, I get that the president's, I guess, essential. But like, Eric Trump, not essential at all. Why? All right. And Dango Bango asks, wasn't Steven Crowder under investigation for soliciting favors from a 17-year-old minor? That I'm not familiar with. I haven't done enough. I haven't looked into Steven Crowder enough because he's such an odious person to begin with. But anyway, I know I'm running out of time. Let's go. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell wants to continue to rule the Senate with an iron fist. Now, that's even after technically losing control of the Senate. I know it's kind of tied like 50-50, but then you have Kamala Harris that can act as a tiebreaker. You know all that, right? So he's basically the power that he has left to do that, to continue to set the Senate's agenda, or at least control what comes out of the Senate and onto the president's desk, is the power of the filibuster. Now, that means, of course, he can block any legislation that does not meet a 60-vote threshold, which, again, as the minority leader of the Republican Party, I've already told you and showed you many instances of the Republican Party essentially being obstructionist for the sake of being obstructionist. They are the reactionary party. They're not really interested in governance or bipartisan governance. And so that's what's going on, okay? And so if Democrats want to get anything done, well, they've got to get Republican approval, which is very unlikely to happen. Now, you can get around some things by using budget reconciliation. That's what happened with the recent coronavirus stimulus bill. But that, of course, comes with stipulations that, you can only involve things that have a direct impact on the budget or spending. And so now Joe Biden has a few things that he wants to accomplish. Some, decent measures that would fight climate change, a bigger infrastructure bill, some tax changes, things like that. Now, I think those are good policies. Would I go bigger, bolder? Of course I would, but that's just me. I'm a leftist. But generally, in the scope of what we can do, what can be accomplished in the type of government that we have, positive things like negative things. Fortunately, will likely run into the 60-vote threshold roadblock put up by Mitch McConnell. So that means any big, Biden agenda item it basically ain't happening, right? Republicans are not going to vote for it. There are Democrats that won't vote for some of the bigger things too, and that's a problem, okay? And now we're progressives. We've told a lot of people, hey, you know what? We want to get rid of the filibuster. Now, there's conservative Democrats and the president that said, no, we're not going to get rid of the filibuster. Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, Joe Biden, not going to go nuclear. Okay. Now, there has been talk, however, about tweaking the filibuster. So now this is interesting. Now, what they want to do is basically turn it back into the talking filibuster, which is interesting. And now, under the framework, at least one senator in the minority would have to stand on the Senate floor and keep talking in order to maintain a filibuster. Now, Republicans could get around it by talking in shifts and preventing anything from getting done. One senator goes and talks for a while and then tag team, right? You bring in another senator and he continues and it just goes ad nauseum until everybody gets sick of it and drops the matter. All right. Well, okay, so there's that. So now, by the way, in case you think that they wouldn't do that, they absolutely would. Of course they would. Republicans are petty. Let's just see that, right? Now, Mitch McConnell has a statement on this. Here's what he said.
Nobody serving in this chamber can even begin to imagine what a completely scorched earth Senate would look like.
Yeah, we kind of do, because that's what you've been doing for like the last 10 years. But nonetheless, he says that, no, it's going to get even worse if Democrats actually get rid of the filibuster, which is interesting. In fact, here's what he said. He said without the filibuster, he said the Senate would be like a, quote, 100-car pileup where nothing moves. How is that different than normal? I'm just saying. But he also threatened to push a long list of policies with zero input from Democrats, as if they ever take our input anyway. Remember the tax cuts for the Trump tax cuts for the rich? Just saying, no input from Democrats, none at all. But he also listed, quote, defunding Planned Parenthood, penalizing sanctuary cities, and signing a national right to work law if they ever get back into power. He also warned that he would require a quorum for everything, making past actions seem like, quote, child's play. Mitch McConnell is probably the worst person to have ever served in government. I'm just saying, now, I know. A lot of people are like, no, Donald Trump's the worst. Donald Trump's the worst. No, Donald Trump was loud, and he was crass, and he did a lot of corruption to serve himself, all that stuff. Okay, but Mitch McConnell has actually gotten a lot of disastrous things done. Disastrous things. He's been probably the biggest roadblock for everything good that's ever been proposed in the last 2 decades. This man has weaponized the filibuster and used it a record number of times just because he could. Remember the nomination of Merrick Garland, where nobody from either side had a problem with Merrick Garland. Super centrist, milquetoasty guy. They wouldn't allow it because guess what? Obama nominated him. That's it. That was enough. That was enough. The hypocrisy from Mitch McConnell is unparalleled. Nonetheless, there are people out there that are saying, well, we should take Mitch McConnell very seriously because if he makes it so that quorum happens, then that's going to cause a gigantic pileup. In fact, one of them says, with only 50 seats for each party, more frequent quorum requirements could get messy quickly, could lead to bills being passed out of pure spite. Again, I don't know how much differently that would be than what we're going through today. But here's the thing, right? Republican politicians have shown over and over they despise the American people. I mean, depending on, like that's what he does. That's what he does. He passes laws that are against the American people and in favor of just basically the rich and corporations. And so this is a problem, okay? But all right, how do we get past that? Well, again, Joe Manchin, Joe Biden are now kind of on the record saying like, oh, well, we should reform the filibuster. We should do the talking filibuster, right? All right, well, in a lot of situations, the talking filibuster wouldn't do a whole lot because Republicans find a way around it. But, there are a couple of different proposals out there. There's one of them, at least, from Jeff Merkley, and that is bringing back the talking filibuster in this form. Merkley's proposal would require that a group of 41 senators hold the floor and take turns talking incessantly in order to maintain a filibuster. So the filibuster would end unless the minority kept at least 41 senators on the floor at all times. That, to me, would be very entertaining. That would be great. Why is that? Well, for one, the action that Republicans, I should say old politicians really do, especially in the Senate, the thing that they do the most is dial for dollars. They call up their donors and they beg them for money. And that's what they do with the majority of their time. It's not Senate governing, right? Or even reading what's in pieces of legislation they passed. No, they spend their money. They spend their time on the phone begging for money from their big rich donors. And so if you require the talking filibuster, well, anytime they want to block something, 41 of them would have to stop dialing for dollars and have to stand on the floor and talk. I could go for that. I mean, I kind of like that just for that specific reason alone. I mean, again, imagine the majority of Republicans or Democrats, for example, having to stand there talking for as long as they want to filibuster something without going home, without fundraising, having to essentially live in the Senate chambers and do things. Oh, it's great. Awesome. I love it. But hey, look, seriously, though, if you actually want to get things done, you could just end up getting rid of the filibuster and call Mitch McConnell out on this bluff. I mean, I think that would be the most effective option. I don't think Democrats have the balls to do that. Unfortunately, some do, of course. Some are calling for the end of the filibuster. I was actually wrong when I talked about Durbin. Dick Durbin actually does support at least reforming the filibuster. And there are other centrist Democrats on board. But then again, you go over to the progressive wing and they're like, yes, get rid of it already. Because you know what? We're not actually able to do anything. We're not going to be able to do anything for the American people if this continues. And so, I mean, whatever happens, like, it's clear that this is going to come to a head in the Senate. Because, hey, it turns out Democrats are actually finding out that when you do things for the American people, they actually like it. And I think the stimulus bill, despite lacking a lot of important things, you know, the $15 minimum wage, is still an incredibly popular piece of legislation. People like it, which makes me think that some Democrats who are afraid of doing things, of doing too much, are starting to reconsider that position. And that's kind of a good thing. I would like our politicians, our representatives, to do more. That said, I know ain't none of them going to do like Medicare for all. Of course not. You still have to realize that they are too beholden to their donors to do things like that, things that are big and bold. But there are Democrats that still want to do good things, positive things. For example, immigration reform, right? Making sure that DACA recipients have pathway to citizenship. That is stuff that doesn't affect their donors. This is stuff that they're willing and able to do, that they brought up on the floor several times and couldn't get past the Republican filibuster. And so, again, Republican cock blocking has basically stopped a lot of positive things from happening. Positive things, even that are, you know, from my point of view, are fairly moderate, would still have a positive effect on the country and on the people. But again, you've got to get past Mitch McConnell to do that. And so, like it or not, the Democrats are going to have to, you know, they're going to have to sack up and do something about this rampant filibuster abuse by the Republicans. And they're going to have to do it fast. All right. I think we'll maybe save the Bernie Sanders story for tomorrow. All right. Yes, Manchin is against doing away with the filibuster, but he is shown some tepid support for "quote unquote" reforming the filibuster, and so there are different ideas about how to do so. But again, there are ways that Republicans could get around it. You'd have to make sure they can't tag team each other, or can't go up and keep like doing shifts and having to talk ad nauseum. And so there's ways that they can do that. And I don't necessarily believe that Joe Manchin is going to go with the most progressive one of those to ensure that Republicans don't, continue to find some way around it to cock block. But anyway, moving on. Last story here. Whoopsie. I'm just pressing buttons apparently. On Tuesday, there was a pretty horrible shooting at 3 different massage parlors in Atlanta. 8 people were shot and killed, according to the authorities. 6 of them were Asian, 2 of them were white. According to law enforcement officials, all but 1 of them were women. So, look, it's pretty horrific what happened. Now, police had captured a suspect, identified him as Robert Aaron Long, 21-year-old. He was caught after a manhunt about 150 miles south of Atlanta. And now there are questions about the motive. There's still a lot of information coming out about this. Not a lot is clear yet. And so I'm going to avoid jumping to too many conclusions. Was it racially motivated? That's one of the big questions. I don't know. I really don't know in this case. I mean, I do know that there's been a lot of rising anti-Asian sentiment as a result of the coronavirus in this country, no doubt. Of course, a lot of it was spurred on, I believe, by the former president and his supporters, going after, Chinese people. They blame China for the coronavirus. But for the victims, were not Chinese. They were ethnic Koreans. But again, dumb people will see Asian person and think they're all the same. They can't tell the difference. It's sort of like the morons who go after Muslims, but actually accidentally go after Sikhs. But they didn't know the difference. All they saw was brown person. And so they do that because they're, well, not only stupid, or I should say not only violent, but also just really, really stupid. All right. But we don't know if that's the case here. Okay. And of course, as we go on, more details will come out about possible motivations, and about, if there's a political motive behind this, or not. But anyway, we'll find out later. A police officer, however, earlier today, this is Captain Jay Baker, who was talking about this. He had a different take on a possible motivation for the shooting, and it's causing a bit of outrage. Take a look.
With investigators, they interviewed him this morning, and they got that impression that, yes, he understood the gravity of it, and he was pretty much fed up and kind of at the end of his rope, and yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did.
Remorseful?
I'm not going to go to, I don't know if he was remorseful or not.
Oh, he had a bad day. Was that it? Really? You had a bad day. So you just shot some people. Well, guess what? I've been having a kind of a bad day myself. But you don't see me going around and murdering people. Now, I love how they're bringing out the excuses, right? You think if it was a black person or an Asian person or or a Muslim or, whatever, right? Middle Easterner, you think they would have brought out this excuse? Oh, he was having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? That happens. Anybody could have had a bad day and murdered 8 people. No. Look, right here, how police are treating this man. I mean, that's an example of what's wrong with policing. Okay. I mean, and by the way, I'm not saying that they should have shot and killed this person when the police, apprehended him. But I am saying that generally, when it comes to apprehension, they tend to apprehend white people a lot more than they do people of other races. And again, that is problems. That is a problem with policing. And so I mentioned some outrage, right? So this was going all over social media. And what I want to do is I want to read some responses. One person says, stupid and ridiculous. Murdering people because you're having a bad day does not give you a get out of jail card. Anyone who uses an excuse for murder is an idiot, should not have a job in law enforcement. Again, it's amazing that they said, what? Bad day. I mean, that's what he did. He had a bad day. Or it was mental health issues or whatever. But they never use that excuse for anyone else who happens to be ethnic. We don't even know what caused it from here. Again, I don't know if it's a racial issue. I don't know if it's a sex issue. Again, I was reading about this. I was looking into what we know in the preparation for the story. And it's like, well, he targeted specific massage parlors in the so-called red light district here. And on this way, he passed like a bunch of different ones, different massage parlors that he could have picked out, but it was only certain ones. Don't really know. Okay. And we also know that he was super alleged to be super religious, and may have had an issue with, attraction, whatever. I don't really care about this man's motives, to be honest with you. What I care is that he did this, and he deserves to be punished for it. There has to be a restitution for civil society, for civil society to function. This guy has to be put away for the safety and sake of other people. Okay. And so I don't really care about his particular motivations, or how bad his day really is. Again, you could have a really bad day and not go out and murder people. Another tweet here. Dave's dad's Brooklyn block list, I love it, says, "Oh shit, the A&A cab really means all." Again, it's amazing this officer said that. Another person says, you know who it was a really, really bad day for? The 8 people and their families who this man killed. Yeah. Another person says, a bad day is losing your job, not being able to feed your children, being laid off by no fault of your own. This 21-year-old kid had mental health issues and obviously had radical beliefs and thought and planned out domestic terror attacks. Call it what it is. A bad day, my ass. Yeah. Again, I don't know the details. But as I mentioned, he may have been massively religious. But again, actions like this don't really say that. I mean, it doesn't really seem like he's all that religious or whatever. And so I don't necessarily know. One more here. They said the way they try to repeatedly spin some justification for angry white men is grotesque and needs to stop. Well, that can definitely agree with. I can't really add anything else to it, really. It's just horrible. And I hope justice comes from him. And he goes away for a very long time. All right. That's it. That's all I got to you all, for you all today. Thank you for going on the Nation with me today. Please like and share the stream. I'm currently going to go take something for my head. Again, a continuation of my own bad day, to which I will take some ibuprofen and lay my head down. Feel much better. Because that's how normal people cope. It feels like. All right, everybody. Thank you all again. Please, if you're new, please like and subscribe to the channel. Very important. If you do that. To everybody else, love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you later.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
There's some whores in this house. Wet ass P-word.
Amazing.
Masturbate all day long.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.